Not About It podcast, episode 3. My name is Sam, and I use they, them pronouns. I am coming at you from the suburbs of Tokyo. I am a knitter and a crocheter. I've been crocheting for 3 years as of next month, and then I've been knitting since the beginning of this year. I will be drinking a cold drink this time because it's still really hot. It's a Mitsuya cider. It's one of the more popular soft drinks here in Japan. So I'm sorry if you hear the carbonation coming out of the cap. I opened it before, but yeah. So I am wearing my Outline Tank by Jessie Mae. It is in the recommended yarn Ritual Dyes Undine. This is the color Quartzite. I am wearing a size medium. This was done on 3.5 millimeter needles. I think it was the recommended needles with the pattern. So size medium. I'm a 36-inch bust-ish. This might be a little bit TMI, but I am weaning my daughter off of the breast I've been pumping for over a year. Woohoo! But so my breast size has been changing with that. But so 36-inch bust, and I think it fits really well. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. I'm really happy with the length. It's a lot less cropped than the Jessie Mae top that I made, which is actually right here, so I can do a quick comparison. So it doesn't seem that significant, but it gives me, yeah, that's better. That's a better. It gives it so that my little tummy isn't on display, which I don't normally mind, but so, but I'm actually also wearing, you might see glimpses of these because I'm sitting on my bed, socks, crochet socks that I made a while ago. They are crochet because I haven't knit myself a pair of socks yet. I'm planning on it, but not right now. With the pattern from I Can't Believe I'm Crocheting Socks. It is the shorty pattern, so ankle socks. But yeah, this was super great. They're definitely not knit socks, but they are sturdier, which is good because I use a 100% merino, I think. This was before I knew anything about making socks, so we'll see how they wear. They're already felting, which I don't think I mind, but I don't know. But I do have a lot to share with you guys today. So this might be a bit of a longer episode. I've got a lot of finished objects. I've got a few different whips. I've got a lot of acquisitions. As always, I'll put the timestamps in the description box. So if you want to skip around, there'll be plenty of timestamps for you to find exactly what you're looking for. Crap, I forgot one thing. 1 second. Okay. So the first finished objects I wanted to share are the Crochet Snowflakes that I have been starting to make for my brother and my future sister-in-law for their wedding this December. I shared more in depth last episode, but they're a tradition passed on through my mother's side of the family, and my mom gifted me a set of crochet snowflake Christmas ornaments when I got married, so I'm going to do the same for my brother. But so this is Snowflake 26. As you can tell, I made a mistake with these 2 points. They're supposed to have 5 picot knots, but those 2 have 3 when the rest have 5. So my mom might be getting this one. We'll see. This is Snowflake number 75. I love this one. I think it's beautiful. Yeah. And I will be getting string and tying it through, and then they can actually be ornaments without having to hang like that. And then this is Snowflake number 1. So they are starched, and so they are stiff. Yeah. But, so those are the first 3 snowflakes. I'm going to be making 12 this year. I'll be making 1 for my parents, 1 for my in-laws, and then 10 for my brother and my future sister-in-law. I should have plenty of time. We're going to see family in December. We leave, I think, on Thanksgiving. But flights are all set, so unless something super weird happens, we'll be going back to the States. One sec. Sorry about that. This episode might be a little more fragmented. My toddler is still awake, and he should be napping, but when he's like this, I have to go put him back in his room every so long or so. But so those are the first finished objects. The second finished object that I have to show you is actually this tombstone pillow. So it's a tombstone. Yeah. This is actually something that I started last year, but just finished it last week. I have a pattern in the works. I don't know if I'm going to publish it. I have it written down on a piece of scrap paper. But I mean, it's relatively simple. It's 2 tombstone shapes, and then 2 rectangles, 1 for the top and then 1 for the bottom. This is version 2.0. The first one my son actually uses as a bedtime pillow. He doesn't like using any other pillow except for his tombstone pillow. But so this one is done with Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick, which is a super bulky or bulky yarn. Uses those 2 skeins, so 500 grams, I think, ish, around there. 2 of the smaller skeins of the bulky Thick and Quick, a 9mm hook, and it's got a lot of scrap yarn and fiber fill inside. So eventually I will be cross-stitching RIP, but today's not that day. I'm not feeling it, so we'll see how long it takes. It might take another year for me to actually finish it, but for now, it works great. So, third finished object has been my Hexies, which reside in this. I will finally actually say the name of the pattern. It is the Beekeepers Quilt by Tiny Owl Knits. It is composed of hundreds of these little hexagons. So if you saw my episode last week, I talked about the rainbow scrap yarn. So here's one of the rainbow scrap yarn Hexies. So there's that, and then I also have color blocked colors. So let's see, I was able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this week. So that way raised my total for up to 21 hexagons. Slow but steady. They're something that I do in between projects, or if I'm needing a quick dose of serotonin, of dopamine, whatever, because I can finish them in an hour. I use a whole bunch of scrap yarns. This is actually the scrap yarn from the socks that I'm wearing. I think this is the hand-dyed honeybee, sugar bee from Hobby Lobby, which I don't endorse Hobby Lobby. I do not like them. This is before I knew what they were about. I will not be buying from them again. I do not recommend buying. yeah, so I'm not gonna link it below, but yeah, just for, what's it? Clarity? Transparency. Transparency, that's the word. So I use 3.5mm double pointed needles for the hexagons. Sometimes I will use smaller, sometimes I will use bigger, depending on the yarn that I'm using. And so like this one, I had to use 3.25mm needles to get the same recommended gauge, because I'm just using random scrap yarns that I've gotten donations from some of my friends for scraps from them. I've just pulling small bits out of my stash. So yeah, I didn't get nearly as many done these last 2 weeks as I have prior, but that's okay. This is going to be a very, very long project, so we'll see how it goes. But I do have pillow inserts coming my way, so I can start to see how many Hexipuffs I'm actually going to need. If I'm going to be doing 2 pillows and a throw blanket. But I will be collecting these Hexies and scrap yarn for probably years. So, okay, now, so those are my finished objects. Now on to my whips. So the first whip that I have was actually a very last minute cast on, surprise cast on, before my family and I went down to Kyoto. Over the long weekend, not this last week, but the week before, my husband had a 4-day, and so on Friday we were like, hey, my husband had surgery this last Thursday, and so before that we were like, yeah, as a last hurrah, we should go do something. And we're like, well, we can go down to Kyoto. Let's do it. So we booked the hotel, we booked the Shinkansen tickets, which is the bullet train, and we took the bullet train down, and we spent 2 full days and then 2 half days down in Kyoto, which was so much fun, and we were able to do so much, and we had such a good time. But so this was, I picked this on Friday. I went through my stash and I found the yarn, and I swatched Friday night, and I cast on Saturday morning and started. So this is the Slanty Stripes tank top by Emily Curtis, who is Emily Curt on Instagram, and I will have her Instagram and this pattern linked below as always. But you can see the slanty stripes. So this is my first Intarsia project. This is the first any kind of color work, and because any other stripey things I've just been tying on and off, and all of my other bigger garments have just been one color. And I did stripes for my Stephen West scarf, but that wasn't, I wouldn't really consider that color work. I would kind of barely consider this color work, but it's a start, it's something, it's the first thing I've ever done, and I'm honestly really loving these colors. But so this dark green yarn is from Cozy Posy Yarn Co. If you give me 1 second, I will go grab a skein so that you can actually see it. But so it's Cozy Posy Yarn Co. This color is Portage. This is the soft and cozy base, which is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. It's got 100 grams, 400 yards. It's a 2-ply fingering weight, and I love it. And it's such a beautiful dark green with little bits of lighter pieces, and yeah, it's just awesome. Give me 1 second. I am getting a phone call. Sorry about that. That was my daughter's speech pathologist, and just double checking to make sure we're still good for our appointment this Wednesday. But so the main color, Cozy Posy Yarn Co. And then so all of the other colors, so this blue right here, this lighter blue, is actually from Alexandra, the Art of Yarn. It's a mini that I got in a big sock set. So I'm not 100% sure what it is. Wool. I know there's a little bit of nylon in there. That's about all I know. And then the rest of the colors are actually from Odd Knots and Threads. They're all minis from her advent calendar last year. So I have zero idea at the fiber content, zero idea at any of the colorway names. But I think they look really good together. I'm really happy with how it is turning out so far. I am using a 3.25 needle, which looks like it broke, so I will be needing to replace this again. Yay. But woohoo, I'm great at these needle things. I really just need to invest in a Haya metal set. It's because I love the Haya needles and they won't do this, they won't snap. But so there's that. Looks like I need to put that aside until I can get new needles, but that's fine. I have a few other things I need to work on anyways. But so there's that. Slanty Stripes, Emily Curtis. I can show a picture of her version of the pattern here. My second work in progress is okay, Brandon, my love, look away if you are watching. You told me you wouldn't, but look away. But it's a super secret project that I'm working on for my spouse, which is residing in this basket because it is very big. And it's being covered by this, but it is a blanket, crochet blanket. So it is, I'm using scraps that are all tied together into these wonderful ginormous balls. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these big scrap balls. And then a neutral, which I have 4 of these. So I'm hoping it should be enough. I'm hoping. But I'm using what is called the moss stitch, otherwise known as the granite stitch. And I have to say, I'm really, really, really loving how this is turning out. I'm loving how the colors are blending together, and I think that the neutral was a perfect choice. I think it's tying everything together to make it so that it's not which, I mean, I personally don't mind. But I think this looks a lot more put together, and I think it's going to be a really, really, really nice blanket. But so this is 100% wool, and all of the wool is wool that I inherited from his late grandmother. When she passed, I inherited her entire yarn stash, which was significant. And it is something that I am still going through and still organizing and still seeing what I will be making with it, what I can do with it. And so I inherited a lot of lace weight, I inherited a lot of tapestry wool, and a lot of art yarns. So the next big project, I'm going to see if I can figure out what to do with all the art yarn, because I don't personally really like working with it. It's not something that I can really imagine using. But I might make a whole bunch of like little like hand squishies. I don't know. So if you have any suggestions for any of the novelty yarn, like the sparkly stuff and like the fluffy stuff and whatever else, please give me pattern suggestions. I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do with it. At some point I'll get it out and share it with you guys so you guys can see it and see if there's anything you would make with it. But I don't know. But so there's that. I'm really, really, really happy with how this is turning out. I'm hoping it'll be a little bit bigger than a twin size, but we'll see how much yarn I have and see how much I can get out of it. Crochet definitely eats up yarn a lot faster than knitting does, but I don't mind because I'm a really big fan of this fabric for a blanket, which is honestly a big reason why I'm very grateful that I know both how to knit and how to crochet, because I think the two kinds of fabrics, the many different kinds of fabrics that each can make, also serve their purposes really well. I don't think knitting is the best for amigurumi. I don't think knitting is the best for blankets. I don't think crochet is the best for tank tops. I don't think crochet is the best for socks. Which is all my personal opinions. You are more than welcome to disagree with me. I wholeheartedly encourage it. But that's just my preference. And I don't really wear crochet clothes just because of the textures, and I'm very much a texture person. But I can't imagine knitting a blanket. It just seems like a lot of time and a lot of work that I'm not willing to do when I can do this, and it's just as pretty. So get to stuff this back. There is no official pattern for this. It's just made up as I'm going. It's literally just moss stitch. So I chained a big chain of how big I wanted the blanket to be, and I'm just going back and forth until it's done. Or until I'm out of yarn. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. And then obviously Hexies are a whip. You don't need to see them again. It's fine. And now we are on to my acquisitions. I have a lot of acquisitions, so feel free to skip. If it's not your thing, don't worry about it. But so like I said a little bit earlier, we did go to Kyoto over our long weekend. And the day that we left, the last thing that I did was I took my children to the yarn store, Walnut, Kyoto. They do have a sister store here in Tokyo, which I have actually never been to yet. I haven't gotten the chance to take the train down. And it is something that I will be doing someday, but not today. I have a lot of yarn that I would like to start working through before I go and do another big haul. So we will start going through that. But first, I did get some new knitting needles as well. I got replacements for the last pair that I broke. Knitter's Pride 3.5 millimeter. So I'm gonna need to order the next set after I finish this video. And you'll see that probably in the next episode. But so this is the bag of stuff that I got from Walnut, Kyoto. And I'm very, very excited. So I try to shop as locally as I can, especially when I'm shopping in a local yarn store. I try to get stuff that is maybe not made in-house, because I know a lot of local yarn stores don't do their own dyeing, but I try to find local knitters, local spinners, local everybody. And so I was able to find lots of Japan dyed yarn. Okay, so the first is these ones. Sorry, I'm organizing them. So these three, this yellow, this blue, and this tannish, are all from Amirisu, which is a large yarn brand, knitting brand here in Japan. It's very popular everywhere. They do worldwide shipping and worldwide things, but everything is spun and dyed here in Japan. So this one here, the yarn is the Hike brand. These three are the Hike Adventure in Knitting, which are 100% merino wool. There's 179 yards and 100 grams. It's a worsted weight. This one is called Snowtop. This one is called Foliage. And this one is called Cenote. I will be sharing a pattern that I'm hoping to use for those in just a moment. These two are also the Amirisu brand, but this is the Swim Hand Dyed, which is 50% merino and 50% cotton. It's 100 grams and 400 meters. So this one is Candied Violets. And this one is just light gray, which I do not have a specific pattern that I'm looking for. And then the last two skeins that I bought are these two, which this one is called Children's Toy, which I love the speckles on that. And then this one is called Above the Snowy Mountain. So these are hand-dyed. They are 50% yak and 50% silk. There is 466 meters per 100 grams here, and a fingering weight. The brand is from Shandrok. I'm not 100% sure where they're from. They do have, I think it's Japanese characters, but I'm not 100% positive. I don't know where. But they are so soft. I just couldn't pass it up. Yeah. I'm a sucker for super soft yarn, and I didn't know if I would be getting another chance to try 50% yak, 50% silk. So I had to try it. And I think I'm gonna make some kind of shawl, maybe a big scarf, funky shaped scarf. I like funky shaped scarves. But with almost 1,000 meters, I should have plenty for a very decently sized shawl. Yes. But so the rest of what I got from Walnut is mostly notions. And then I also got an issue of Pom Pom magazine. I got their 10th anniversary issue. So it has the autumn and winter patterns, and then the spring and summer patterns. So I was flipping through and I saw this pattern here, the Streamers by James N. Watts, who I absolutely adore. I adore his patterns. I think he's amazing. And I saw this pattern, and I already had these colors in my basket. And can you just, I think it'll be amazing. Yeah, I think it'll be wonderful. So I'm hoping to be doing that. But I'm very excited about this. This is actually my first knitting book of patterns. I have lots and lots of different crochet books of patterns, but this is my first one for knitting, so I'm very excited. But I mean, can't you just imagine this as that stripy sweater? Like, I'm not normally a super big fan of yellow, but this yellow and this blue with this. Okay. I think it's amazing. And I'm sorry, this is going to crinkle a little bit. I haven't opened it yet. But so these are the rest of the notions that I bought from Walnut. I bought this thing that shares how big the yarn weight is, because I have a lot of mystery weight skeins in my stash over there. And I think it will be super helpful for figuring out how big my yarn is. Give me 1 second, my toddler's acting up again. Okay, again, I'm sorry about that. But so the last two things that I got from Walnut Kyoto are this pin, which it spins, and I'm a stickler. I absolutely adore enamel pins, so I had to have it. But it has sweater, scarf, throw, mitts, hats, socks, cowl, and shawl. So you can spin it and it'll pick my next project. Yeah. And then the final thing I got is the Coco Knits Stitch Fixer, which is a double-ended crochet needle that you can use to fix drop stitches, which I will be finding immensely helpful because although I figured out how to knit while I wasn't looking at it, I tend to drop stitches while I do so, which my husband and I, since his surgery, have been watching anime together, mostly Spy X Family and Kakaguri, which are two very opposite ends of the spectrum for anime, but that's okay. And so I need to read the subtitles in order to understand remotely anything. So, my new best friend. But, yeah. So let me put some of these things back in the bag. And then I can share more things that I bought a while ago that finally came in. Because living here in Japan, everything that I order from the United States takes a long time to get here. So it's not fast, it's not reliable, it can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months. And so the stuff that I ordered in this bag are from a long time ago. So do not judge me for how much money I spend on my yarn. But so the first things first, I had an order from Hobbii for some yarn for my Oh My Figure dress. I talked about this dress in my first episode where I made a few swatches, where I was deciding which yarns to use, and I finally got my color, the right colors for my yarn. And so I will put a picture of the Oh My Figure dress here in case you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's by Oh My Knits. But so my order from Hobbii, sorry, bug. I also got these two skeins of Skin Color Rainbow Cotton, color 03, because they don't put the actual names on their skeins, which I think is ridiculous, but that's fine. But I have a lot of doll making that I want to be doing, and I need skin tones for that. So I bought skin tone, and I'm waiting for the other skin tones to arrive because this is not the only skin tone. But we're waiting on that. And so in that same order, I got 2 4.5mm hooks because I lose these things like nobody's business. And so I bought the ergonomic Prim hook, which I can show you in just a moment. Sorry, I'm shaky. But I really like ergonomic hooks that don't hurt my wrists as much. I'm not trying to grip it as tight. So yeah, super helpful. But so I got those in. And then I also, from Hobbii, I was able to get, that's a yarn barf, the Go Handmade Tencel Bamboo Double. That is a terrible looking skein. So this is the base for my dress. The color is soft green. Soft green. And because it is bamboo, it is very soft. But so I got 4, 5, 6 skeins of that, which they are 130 meters, so 130 times 6. I'm not going to do that math in my head, but that should be more than enough for my dress, I'm hoping, based off of the measurements in the pattern. It should be, but if I need to, I will order more. And then I got the mohair for the dress as well, which is Drops Kid Silk Unicolor. The colorway is 19. Again, not super helpful. It's the dark green. But, so they're not perfect, which I don't like when they're perfect. I like how the dark mohair adds a little bit more depth to it. But I think this is going to make an absolutely beautiful, 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 beautiful dress. So there is 230 yards, 210 meters per 25 gram skein here. So I should have plenty, but I'm not. If I need to, I will order more. It's no worries. I do have a couple patterns in mind if I end up having extra yarn. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I will probably talk about them if I have extra yarn. So we will see. But so that yarn has a home, that yarn has a purpose. The rest of this yarn does not. And it's totally fine, because the purpose will be sitting on my shelf looking pretty until I can find a pattern that deserves it. Yeah. So the rest of this is from Made by Hailey Bailey on Instagram and her store. So this was a one-of-a-kind sale, I think, and an extra blowout sale. But so these are the color Juniper on her Surrey Squish base, which is 100% Surrey alpaca. It's beautiful muted greens with some pinks inside. There's some brighter greens and some teals, and I think they're just gorgeous. 218 yards per 50 grams. And I have two. This is my first Surrey alpaca, so we will see how I like it. Going 1 minute. Okay, hopefully that's our last interruption. The child needed to go potty. So, first purchase. Second purchase from Made by Hailey Bailey, which, look at her, yarn sleeve? Yarn wrap? I don't know, but look at it. It's adorable. I love it. But so this is the color Tea Rose on her Cloud Bulky base. It's a bulky weight, 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. There is 76 yards, and I bought this to make a hat. Just look at it. It's the perfect color. It's amazing. Pale whites and pinks and purples and dusty and yeah. And it's really soft. It's really great. But it'll make a great hat. I'm very excited. Okay. The next colorway that I bought is Eucalyptus. And I bought it on the classic worsted weight, which is 100% superwash merino, 218 yards per 100 grams. And it's a tonal, and it's just stunning. And this is pretty, it's a little darker on screen than it is in real life. It's a little bit more of a lighter green. But I was thinking maybe, probably not, but maybe. Oh no, the one that I was going to pair with the Surrey was this one, actually. Her Luna Moth colorway, again on the classic DK. Yeah, it's really, the light's really making things a little bit darker. That's a little more accurate than that. Yeah, that's a little more accurate. Yeah, there we go. But Luna Moth colorway, very light, almost tealish green. Yeah, again, 100% superwash merino, 231 yards, 100 grams. Very happy. And then the last colorway I actually got on 2 different bases. The first base is, again, the classic DK. This color is called the European Bee Eater. This colorway reminds me of Vincent van Gogh's Sunflowers. And so I had to get it. I had to. It was necessary. But so I got 2 of these again, 100% superwash merino, 231 yards for 100 grams. And then on the second base is, again, European Beekeeper. This is the classic sock, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. Fingering weight, it is 463 yards and 100 grams. Yeah, it's soft and I love the colors and it's absolutely amazing. My goal for my knitting is to make my wardrobe. I know this is a lot of people's goal, but I want to have enough objects that I can wear one every day that I want to. I'm very proud that I've been able to wear a different handmade item per episode so far, and I'm hoping to be able to keep with that trend. Maybe not 100% of the time, but we're hoping. We'll see how it goes. And considering I've had 3 different handmade tops or cardigans for the last 3 episodes, I have 2 more cardigan sweater things that I can do, and then hopefully we'll have needles to finish this one, this one soon. I'm really mad that needle broke. I'm going to invest in a new pair of interchangeables, and hopefully that will fix my problems. I feel like that's a better solution than just replacing the broken ones every time. But along with that goal of a handmade wardrobe is a handmade sock drawer. Because I love, love, love hand knit socks. And I think there are so many beautiful patterns out there, and there are so many beautiful sock yarns, and there are so many beautiful color combinations and everything else. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for me. I'm gonna do it for my husband. I'm gonna do it for people in my family who want socks. There's just so many things to knit in so little time. But I've been very grateful. I've been very intentional with the projects that I pick, and I've enjoyed every single one of the projects that I've knit so far. So yeah. But so I'm just super excited to make these into a pair of socks, and I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. And then they're also going to make beautiful Hexipuffs with whatever scrap I have left over, because by the time I get to socks with these, I'm still going to be making Hexipuffs. So I have a feeling I'm just going to be making Hexipuffs for the rest of my life. And yeah, it's just going to be one of those things that once I finish one Hexipuff blanket, someone else is going to ask me for one, and it'll be like my child or my husband, or who knows, maybe by that point it might be grandchildren. It'll be like, I can't say no, because I like making Hexies. I really enjoy doing them. They're really super fun and fast, and they make it so that I can use up every little bit of yarn that I can. So one of my goals this year has been to use / give up more skeins of yarn than I buy this year. It's been my stash busting project and my scrap busting project. So in total this year, I have either used up or given away over 100 skeins of yarn. Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing. And I'm not 100% sure how many I have bought, especially with my yarn loving tendencies, especially for fancy, beautiful, hand-dyed, yarny goodness. But yeah. But so I'm really proud of how I've been able to use up so much yarn. And then like in projects like this This used the scraps of 12 different skeins of yarn. And 12 different, and that's including like small projects that I had knit that I was been meaning to unravel and use for something else, and I just shoved it in here because I'm not going to use it because it's some shitty acrylic yarn that I don't enjoy using anymore. And I saved money on polyfill because I used scrap yarn. So, and every single one of my hexies is filled with scrap yarn, and it's just one of the ways that I've been very intentional about my yarn usage and very intentional about the waste that I leave behind. I'm not perfect, obviously, but I try to do as much as I can. I try to be very intentional with what I purchase. I try to be very ethical with what I purchase. And I do my best. I know I'm not 100% perfect, which, like I said, human being. Woohoo. But I like this earth that we live on. And I think other people should too. I think we should all try our best. And whether that's using the yarn that we have, or whether that's not buying acrylic, or what if that's using up the scraps so you're not throwing stuff away. I think every amount of that is amazing. And yeah. One of the main reasons I don't like using acrylic yarn anymore is because I am making more wearables. I don't like the texture of how it feels on my skin. I find natural fibers just a lot easier to deal with. And there are some non-superwash, and because ideally I would love to use non-superwash yarns, but with a lot of my texture issues, I can't stand wearing it close to skin. And so there are some projects that I have and some non-superwash yarns that I have that I will use as like a cardigan that I can wear over a long sleeve, or with a turtleneck underneath, or anything like that. But yeah, so sorry for that little tangent. If you want, you can tell me how you like being more sustainable in your work down below, or ideas you have at being more sustainable. I'm always looking for more ways that I can incorporate into my life that help the planet. Lately I've been cooking a lot more at home, and I save all of our veggie scraps to make stock. I don't have a place that I can compost right now because we are in an apartment, and we're not allowed to do compost on the terraces. Woohoo. And I have been looking for a place here in Japan that will take food scraps and natural paper and everything else for that purpose. But I just haven't found it yet. So I've been making stock at home. I've been making a lot more at home. I've been using my dehydrator to dehydrate foods, and I'm very lucky that I do get to do that. And there's just been a whole bunch of smaller stuff like that that I've been trying to incorporate into our daily lives. So if you have any ideas or anything that you personally do, drop it down below. I'd love to hear it. But so for the last thing that I acquired, knitting wise at least, because I did get a lot of omamari, I think that's the word? I'll put it right there. Charms from the Shinto and Buddhist shrines and temples in Kyoto. But so Buddhist and Shinto shrines have charms that you can buy that are good for 1 year, and then you give them back to the shrine and they burn them. But they're good luck, good parenting. They have specific ones for good traffic safety, or that good parenting, to repel evil spirits, to help with exams, and all these things. And so each shrine will usually have a special charm, which I absolutely adore. I think they're amazing. I'm a firm believer in different kinds of energies, and so I'm a firm believer in what you put into the universe, you get back. And so these shrines are right up my alley, and I got some absolutely gorgeous ones. If anybody is interested in seeing them, I have a book that I just have that's pretty getting close to getting full, because I just love them and they're works of art. But my favorite one is one that my husband got for me that is for headache relief, which I have had chronic headaches and migraines for 7 years now. And so any kind of relief I can get, I will get. But so last thing are these two beautiful, I'm going to be using them as stitch markers. But so these are special knotting techniques that the Japanese use for their shrine charms. And it's, you've probably seen these little balls before, but the practice did originate here in Japan and they use special rope, and it's just, I think they're absolutely gorgeous. But so I will link the shop down below. Because they do have an online shop where they do sell these, and they do custom necklaces, bracelets. They have mask like clips so that you can put your mask around the clip and put it on like that. Same thing for glasses. These little guys, and they do sell the rope as well. But I think they're just gorgeous, so I'll be using these as stitch markers. And like, yeah, it just makes me happy. And sorry for the crinkling, and I'm sorry if you can hear my toddler. I wish I could have a toddler's energy. It'd be amazing. It'd be incredible. But yeah, that's all that I have for you guys today. I will include a lot of clips from our time in Kyoto for afterwards. I will also include some clips from when I've been home and other fun stuff. But if you guys have any special things that you would like to see here in Japan, or if I can try and find to show you guys, let me know. Japan is still mostly closed to tourists. And so they're working on reopening, but the government is very hesitant towards everything, which I don't get. I understand, but at the same time, it's a lot. Yeah. But I hope you guys had a good time hanging out with me. I know I always really enjoy doing this. This is a safe space for me to share, and I'm really appreciative of you guys and your welcoming arms and love that you've all brought to me. So I hope you guys have had a good time crafting, and I hope I will see you again soon. Bye!
Naya